Shawn Booth is revealing intimate details of his split with Kaitlyn Bristowe and his time on The Bachelorette. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news. We've got all you need to know on Shawn Booth's side of the story. But before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and Shawn Booth has had quite the attitude, some might say, while discussing his past with Kaitlyn Bristowe and the Bachelor franchise. He came off very bitter to a lot of us, and this is also the first time Shawn has publicly spoken about his breakup with Kaitlyn and his time on the show, considering him and Kaitlyn broke up years ago and he was on the show in 2015. So Shawn is just always has been the one to stay away from podcasts and things like that, but he is spilling all and he is revealing a lot of tea about what happened on his side of things. Shawn took us through the ups and downs of filming and why he still to this day questions his ex-fiance's authenticity. Shawn says they were bonded together through trauma and stayed together longer than they should have. Shawn did say he fell in love with Kaitlyn on the show from the start, and the connection and chemistry was there. He knew from day one she was going to pick him, and producers actually knew it too. Shawn says the producers would have guys interrupt him and Kaitlyn every time they would find time to speak. Other guys on group dates would have like an hour with Kaitlyn, maybe a half hour, depending on how many guys were left. Shawn would get interrupted after like 5 minutes because producers caught wind of how strong the connection was between Kaitlyn and Shawn, and they had a show to produce, so they had to do something about it. And that's honestly probably why they brought Nick Viall in halfway through the season to shake things up and make a competition, because Kaitlyn and Nick did have a connection before Kaitlyn started her season of The Bachelorette. And they had unfinished business. So once Nick came in there, him and Shawn had a feud and they competed over Kaitlyn. Shawn referred to him as the other guy, and it was really tense between them. There was a lot of beef. However, Shawn and Nick did reunite just the other week at Ben Higgins' wedding, and Nick said on his Instagram story that it was a beautiful moment and the beef has been squashed. However, it does not look like the beef between Kaitlyn and Shawn has been squashed, because, yeah, Shawn still has some bitter feelings about the engagement and about his time on the show. Shawn even said that the producers told him if he didn't propose, everyone was going to hate him, so he felt pressured to propose to Kaitlyn on the finale of her season. Shawn and Kaitlyn stayed together for nearly 3 years after they got engaged in 2015 on The Bachelorette. Shawn said things were not easy and there was a lot of fighting, but they felt pressure to keep a happy face for the fans and the producers. Producers used to force them to post happy couple pictures together even though they weren't happy. He really is coming off very bitter to me. They stayed together for 3 years. It's not like it was 6 months or 8 months. Like 3 years is a long time. They lived together in Nashville. They had 2 dogs together, which Shawn ended up taking when they broke up. So I'm kind of surprised that he has so much animosity towards Kaitlyn, but now I get his side of things too. So let's kind of continue. He did say though that they were not happy and that they were forced to post Instagram pictures together even though they didn't want to, and now he doesn't trust anything he sees on the internet anymore. He says it's a whole different ballgame. You have to do brand deals, and that's why I look at relationships now from The Bachelor and I'm like, are they actually happy? And I think this is why some couples stay together longer than they should, for the money and for the brand deals, because they have to post, not only because they don't want to let their fans down, but they have to post and make those coins. So sometimes they have to fake being happy. And Shawn admits that's what him and Kaitlyn did for a while. Eventually, Shawn and Kaitlyn broke up, but since it was past the 2-year mark, Kaitlyn got to keep her engagement ring from Neil Lane on the show. Shawn was upset that Kaitlyn was so open to her fans about their breakup and would talk about it constantly all the time on her podcast. We know that Kaitlyn is an open book. She shares all on her podcast, and he does know who he got engaged to, so of course he expected this, but it still hurt to hear him, constantly hear her talking about it and giving so much insider tea, but he knew he couldn't do anything about it because they were no longer together, and that was her way of coping with things. Shawn says he did have a lot of love for her. Of course, he had this connection like right out of the gate. It wasn't a forced thing. We connected, we had an awesome time, but like afterwards, the situation makes it pretty easy to fall in love. No distractions. Shawn and Kaitlyn would go on these, rendezvous. The producers would put them in these like locations where they were quarantined away. Before quarantine was even a thing, they weren't allowed to see anyone, go out in public. The show makes it really easy for everyone who goes on the show to fall in love and become an item and become engaged because they set up this very romantic setting. but afterwards is where it all fell apart. Shawn and Kaitlyn have not spoken since their breakup in 2018. Kaitlyn is now with Jason Tartick, who was a former contestant on The Bachelorette as well. Jason was the final 3 on Becca Coop's season, and Jason and Kaitlyn have been together for 2 years. They just got engaged a few months back. Bachelor Nation loves Jason and Kaitlyn, so I'm glad that Kaitlyn was able to find her happiness since this very dramatic breakup that doesn't seem to be squashed till this day. Shawn seems to be single at the moment, but he is running a successful gym where he teaches workout classes and is a professional trainer called the Booth Camp. And it seems like Shawn is happy in his life. He was at Ben Higgins' wedding, so he still has a lot of friends in Bachelor Nation. Kaitlyn Bristowe was invited to Ben Higgins' wedding, but she couldn't go because she is on her podcast tour. It would have been definitely awkward to see the two of them together, especially because Kaitlyn's final 4 was at Ben Higgins' wedding. Ben Higgins being there, Shawn Booth, Nick Viall, and Jarrett Hibone. So what an awkward moment that would have been for Kaitlyn if she did show up. Do you guys think that Shawn Booth is bitter over his breakup with Kaitlyn, or do you think he has valid points because he did mention that he was upset that she was so open about the breakup on her podcast and he wanted to keep things a little more private? Either way, I think these were two very different people who did not belong together, but it's interesting to hear Shawn's side of the story because he has been silent and has never really talked too much about his experience until now. So we definitely got some juicy tea here. That is everything we have to share with you guys today. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any Bachelor updates. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality. You guys can follow me down below at Zachary Reality. Come talk all things Bachelor with me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. See you later.